Hello, parents, students, and guardians, and welcome to the information evening for GCSE History, which will hopefully help you and support you in preparing your child for their future exams in GCSE History. My name is Mrs. Kane, and I'm in charge of the EBAC subjects, which incorporate history, geography, French, and Spanish. After this presentation, if there are questions that you still have or information that has not been presented to you that you would like further information about, please don't hesitate to get in contact with me either via the school email or at another time that is appropriate to yourselves, and I won't hesitate to get back to you. Okay, so for GCSE History, as you're aware, we started our studies in Year 9. We are now into Year 11, and as we are aware, the exams have been set back by 3 weeks. Through the course of their GCSE history studies, they have to study 3 eras. They have to study a medieval era, an early modern era, and a contemporary era, the present day. We also have to do this over 3 timescales. So they do a depth study, period study, and a thematic study. As well as that, within their studies, they have to study a local environment, so a locality. We look at the First World War in relation to this. And then they have to look at a European or a wider world setting. And again, we look at civil rights and the Vietnam War to cover this aspect of the requirements for GCSE. British history, however, must form 40% of the assessed content, and that is covered in our medicine depth study. It is also covered in our Elizabeth study. So we cover all of the requirements for the forthcoming GCSE. So the exams themselves, there are 3 papers, and 3 papers will take part in June of 2021. Currently, these are the dates that have been set by the exam board, but they will be altered now in light of Gavin Williams' announcement this week. So the first exam paper is their Medicine Through Time paper, which also incorporates the First World War. It's broken down into 2 sections. Section A looking at evidence, and Section B looking at change and continuity and extended writing. This is worth 52 marks of their overall outcome, which is graded 9 to 1, and this paper is 1 hour and 15 minutes long. Paper 2 has been shortened this year to 55 minutes. This originally was a paper that consisted of 2 taught elements, Elizabeth and the superpower relations, looking at the Cold War post-1945. However, Ofqual have assessed the GCSE history and have decided, due to the pandemic, that to cover all of these topics would be detrimental to the pupils and it wouldn't allow them sufficient coverage. So therefore, as a school, we've decided to not teach the Cold War because Elizabeth is complementary to the exam style questions in medicine. And also we currently started teaching it prior to lockdown. Again, this paper is about crucial knowledge. It's not assessing evidence, it's looking at change and continuity. So it's very much a knowledge-based paper. This will take place on the 15th of June, but again is subject to change. Paper 3 is the compulsory element that Ofqual have asked us to definitely teach, and that is where we are using evidence and interpretations, how historians interpret history and how they write from their perspective. So we started this in Year 9, and we will be revisiting this after Christmas in terms of revision and exam technique. And the overall themes for this are civil rights in the United States and United States involvement in the Vietnam War. This is 1 hour and 20 minutes. So in preparation for their exams in June 2021, our Year 11 PPE will be a hybrid of all 3 papers so that we have a very strong evidence base going into the exam season. So it will cover medicine in the First World War, looking at the exam focus of evidence, utility, how useful sources are, and how an historian can follow up questions that they pose when assessing the evidence. We also will be looking at Elizabethan threats home and abroad, specifically as this is an area that's not been tested in the 2 exams leading up to 2019. And we do believe this is a strong element within the specification that potentially could be examined upon next summer. And we will be assessing Vietnam in the 1960s and 70s, as we know that this is an area that students, whilst they enjoy the content, they do find it quite complicated. We will also be assessing them through a 16-mark interpretation question, which is where they weigh up the evidence from 2 extracts, and they have to decide if the 2 extracts support the question, and then they use their contextual knowledge, their own knowledge, to back up the extracts and to argue for and against the question. So as you can see, in their 3 history papers, there are a range of exam style questions, ranging from describing 2 features, which they will see across their Elizabeth paper and they will see in their civil rights paper, and then utility, which again goes across their paper 1 exam, medicine, and their civil rights paper, and explain why it cuts across all 3 of the exams. All of these exam style questions are taught within the lessons, but they're also going to be reinforced as the year progresses, as the PPE approach, and as the summer 2021 approaches. So here we have an outline, essentially, of the year ahead of us. So we are currently in the month of October. We have just taught Elizabeth's religious problems, her problems on her accession to the throne. And we're currently looking at the threats internally to Elizabeth and how she deals with these threats and how she eliminates these threats. We then move into November, where we will start to look at how Elizabeth explores and discovers the new world, namely America, and the role of Sir Francis Drake in this process. Then we will get into the PPE season. Once we've analysed that data, we will start to look at the gaps in their knowledge or the gaps in their skills. And we have set out a revision plan coming from January through to April. And we will be starting with the Year 9 content of civil rights in Vietnam and ensuring that we revisit the exam technique, which students historically do find difficult, which is looking at interpretations. After we've done this in February, we will then move on to March, where we will go back to the Year 10 content and we will revise medicine, and again, appropriately to the exam technique. And then when we get to April, we will revisit the Year 11 content, which is the Elizabethan paper. There are a number of strategies that the students will be taught and advised to use through the course of the year, but essentially 95% of what we teach to each other has the greatest benefit. So explaining and summarising, classifying, structuring, generalising, and trying out exam practice. So testing each other with their friends, with their peers, with their parents. You can play an essential role in this by testing their knowledge and their understanding. Other ways of teaching and revising: mapping key ideas, so concept maps, revision clocks, chunking up the information, spending 5 minutes on testing yourself, and then after this, asking a parent or a friend to check the content, to check your knowledge, to check your understanding, to see if it's been committed to memory. Revision cards in the form of Quizlet, again asking a key question, seeing if you can provide the answer to that. Time questions. The exam itself is as much about making sure that the timings are appropriate and that the pupils are expanding upon their knowledge in the given time. Podcasts are very good for small chunked information, especially if pupils are struggling with a particular topic. We will also be handing out other strategies to the pupils in the coming weeks. Again, revision guides. Revision guides are beneficial. They help to break down the information into a simpler format, but they also have practice questions in there so that the pupils can focus their revision and they can apply their revision to specific exam questions. As you can see, there are 4 revision booklets here. We only require the first 3. The fourth one, superpower relations, as noted in the second slide, will not be tested. They are available from Amazon. We do have copies of these in school, and we will be introducing them into the lessons as the weeks and the months progress. Another revision tool that you will know that your children have been set through the course of year 9, 10, and currently year 11 is using Seneca. So here we have 3 courses on a Seneca page, the 3 examined components. Pupils are set on a 2-weekly basis, content currently from Elizabeth, but also retrieval tasks based on their prior knowledge, their prior learning. So as well as being set Elizabeth, they will be set tasks on the USA, they'll be set tasks on Vietnam, and they'll be set tasks on medicine. It's all about retrieving the long-term memory so that we are adding to the long-term memory and we are supporting their revision. As you can see, there is also an opportunity for yourselves as parents to be invited into your child's classroom on Seneca. This information is on the school website. There is a letter under the section saying Seneca, a letter outlining how you can join, and also a QR code to make that a lot easier if you prefer that way of signing up to Seneca. So thank you, parents. Again, I hope that this has been beneficial. If there is anything that you would like to ask me, please do not hesitate to get in contact. Thank you.